Welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. Now, I don't do this normally, but if you guys haven't got a chance to watch the last video I had with Nat Turner, the president and CEO of PSA Graydon, he's also, he's the CEO of Collector, so it's WADA Games, it's PCGS Coin Graydon, you name it, they have their hands in it. But yeah, I'm going to highly recommend, if you have not watched that video, to go watch that one first. It's the first link in the description below, and after this live is over, it will be the pinned comment. I'll also put a link for that video. But listen, if you guys got a chance to watch that, I feel so blessed that that video was actually able to happen. And I just want to say thank you to everybody out there who watches this channel, everybody who likes, subscribes, does all that. Because I'm going to honestly tell you, if it wasn't for you guys, like, those videos wouldn't be possible. They wouldn't be able to exist. And I'm very humbled in the fact that 3 years ago, this channel posted 5 videos till I got my first subscriber. If you told me when I first created this channel, and I created this channel flashing memes on the screen, it was a meme channel, to go from a meme channel to 3 years later having some of the biggest collectors in the hobby on for interviews, for having Nat Turner, the president and CEO of PSA Grading, on my channel. If you told me that 3 years ago, I would not believe it. And the only reason, again, that all that is possible is because of you guys. And if you guys weren't out there watching it, I'd just be talking into the void to no one. Nobody would want to hop on this channel, and we wouldn't be able to have these very special, and in a way, like, is it an overuse saying, like, in my opinion, it was like a magical moment. Like, it was special for this hobby, especially very special for Pokemon. You know, sports cards, they've been lucky. You know, Pokemon, we don't usually get, like, these great moments, so it was a great one. And I'm super happy the way that interview turned out. It was tight, you know, 30-minute time. You know, originally it was potentially going to be 30 minutes, and depending on how the flow of the interview went, like, maybe I was hoping it could stretch as much as an hour. And Nat Turner was super, super accommodating. He went the full hour, and like, that live might have only went for 55 minutes, but there was still like the 3-4 minutes when he hopped on the live right before, you know, we actually went live. And I'm going to tell you right now, I am I am a fanboy of PSA, and I was a fanboy of PSA, but my God, I'm in now. I'm in. I am very biased now after that interview, because I have like a just ton of gratitude for what happened, and I'm biased now after that interview. This is not, I'm not sponsored, but I am biased. I'll give you that much. The fact that he was willing to come on this channel, and shout out to you guys. It was a Tuesday, a random Tuesday in the middle of July at 2 p.m. And 297 people at one point were in that live chat. 297 people. Do you know how crazy that is? Think about that. 297 people, 2 o'clock on a Tuesday. Like, that's insane. Appreciate all you guys. Cannot thank you enough. Son of a Mewtwo said, I appreciate the super chat. He said, massive shout out to the top tier content, PK. I appreciate that. Son of a Mewtwo. But yeah, it was fun. And listening to him talk, and you know, none of our questions were scripted. Like, you know, right before the live started, you know, that 3-4 minutes, like, I gave him a quick rundown of topics I wanted to talk about. But the topics I said was, you know, I want to talk about turnaround times. I want to talk about pack grading. I want to talk, like, that was what I said real quick in 3 minutes. It wasn't anything more than that. So what Nat answered was his answers real time. And he didn't have like a list of questions or anything before we started. And I think about Nat Turner, and then I think about like that other Instagram live that happened with CGC. Ours wasn't scripted. There was even a couple questions that Nat was able to answer from the chat with crazy transparency. Rattle Pokemon put out that question asking about, you know, middlemen services in Europe and all that stuff and all the issues you had. And Nat Turner didn't hold back any punches. He just flat out said, oh, Ludkins. Yeah, it was a shit show. That's pretty much what he said. I mean, the amount of transparency that came with that answer, even I was like, wow. I was pretty shocked by that. But, you know, going back to the interview, the way he was able to compose himself, the way he was able to answer questions and keep up with chat. Right before the live started, I told him, I said, Nat, just so you know, it's going to be a live chat. And if you want to turn on the YouTube video, you can read the live chat as it goes on. I warned him though. I said, just so you know, the chat on a live stream can at times be a very, 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 very dark place. So if you're not really ready for that, don't read it. And he's like, oh no, man, no problem. Like, I'll go into the live chat. He pulled up the live chat, and while I was talking, you can see him reading the live chat. He was reading your guys' questions. That it takes a lot to do that. And I think about now the CGC interview on Instagram, like I just previously mentioned. Their questions were pre-scripted. Sure, you can tell me it was a live Q&A and they were answering questions from the chat, but anybody who is in that CGC chat real time knows that they were scripted questions. The ones with Nat weren't. And I am always interested in grading card companies or any company in general. It's who's captaining this ship? Who's in charge? And to see the way he was able to, compose himself, the way he was able to answer questions versus like the CGC guys who had pre-prepared questions and they totally bombed that interview. And it was like an ugly thing. And I was thinking in my head, I was like, if I was able to, in a hypothetical world, just take Nat Turner and throw him on that CGC Instagram live, just keeping all, like his knowledge and answering the questions, how much better would that CGC Instagram interview have went if Nat Turner was leading that ship? And I was thinking that to myself, and I'm like, there's no way Nat would stumble on his words in that Instagram live. Like, people would have came out of that CGC Instagram live in a way better, like, more hopeful, more exuberant, like, feeling about the future of CGC. I do believe that because of just who's like leading, who's the captaining that ship. And when it comes to PSA, when it comes to any grading card company, like, I do believe grading is the future. I do believe in order to maximize your collection, because your collection should be maximized for present day and the future. And I see the future value being in PSA slabs and the future liquidity still in PSA slabs. There are short-term plays. Listen, I'm going to be transparent with you. I do believe there are short-term plays for other grading card companies for one simple fact: turnaround times. An example would be, Nagaba EVs. You send them to CGC, you're going to get those back a month or two before PSA. If you sell them onto the market really quickly, you'll probably see a premium, like right in the near term. And then when the PSA slabs come out, like the PSA slabs will sell for greater than the CGC. The problem is what I'm talking about now is I like to talk about two things on this channel. One as a collector, one as like a flipper, one as an investor. So three things technically. For the person selling those cards onto the market, you are doing the right thing. Being first to market, making your margins, great job. You're killing it. Whoever's doing that. The problem is the person on the other end of that transaction, the buyer. The buyer of that, more likely than not, is not going to be another reseller. They're probably going to be the end user or the collector. And that card, those Nagaba Pikachus, after the PSA returns do come back, will not be toxic accent. They won't be toxic, but they will be way less in value and far less in liquidity. So if you are looking for like your future, you don't want to have your position in other slabs, because listen to the way he talked about PSA and the way he talked about the new Japanese grading that's happening in Japan and how they're keeping the English label, and how he talks about like the fungibility of these slabs and how he understands that they can't be different labels. They need to be universal. And I thought about it and I was like, PSA is not just an American brand. They're not just a Japanese brand. PSA is a global brand at this point. The fact that he's talking about, opening up offices, whether it's through the UK, shout out to everybody in the comment section who talked about, like, maybe it wouldn't be great if they opened to UK because of all the Brexit shit that happened, and now there's import fees from all the other European countries into Great Britain. And I'm sure Nat Turner went back and read those comments, because I did email him after the fact, and I thanked him, and I told him you should go check out the comments. But more importantly, I talked to Nat Turner about scheduling another interview, and as of right now, I got a yes for it, but this interview is going to now become an annual interview. For some people, like that might seem like a long term away. Some people might be really excited for that, but it's going to be annual. So this time next year, plus or minus, I say like 2 months, but hopefully July of next year, Nat Turner will be on again. And we'll be able to maybe like hold him accountable a little bit of some of the things he said or the things that they were going to potentially roll out or potentially the new innovative things that PSA is going to do. But it will. It will be an annual interview now because how well the first one went. And I think he was very happy with how it turned out. And I was very happy. And I think a lot of the viewers were very happy. So I'm excited to be able to have now going into the future annually have the CEO of PSA on my channel and already have that as a, confirmed yes. I mean, it's not scheduled, but it's a yes. Like he was a very clear yes in the email. He was very thankful. I mean, he thanked me for coming on the channel, which that just shows you the type of dude he is. But yeah, I'm excited about that. So to have him on again next year. But no, going back to PSA now being a global brand with European offices, you want to invest in the global brand. That's what you want. You want brand identity. Whether you have your slab and you're anywhere in America, you go to Japan, you go to Europe, potentially go to Asia in the future, or definitely in Australia, and you have these slabs. They're going to be global slabs. It's going to have global brand recognition. That is the future. If you ask me my honest opinion, do I see CGC or Beckett having global brand recognition? My answer is not really. Like, maybe CGC has put some footprints in certain countries because, people did big pushes there because they're like, sellers and graders themselves. Australia kind of comes to mind. I know there's like a lot of CGC slabs floating around Australia. Obviously PSA, but if I'm going to back any dog in this fight, I'm backing PSA at this point. But I do believe, even with that said, there are options for these other grading companies in like short-term plays. I think Beckett having a black label, I think if you get lucky, listen, I told you I'm going to send some cards to Beckett, try to play that black label lotto and just see if I hit big. For CGC, I think if you're first to market on a lot of plays, I think you can do good. The problem is when the PSA slabs, yeah, there's going to be a 2-3 month turnaround time, a lot of these bulk submissions, but when those cards hit the market, they will hold a premium. Like, when you watch that live, after that live was over, did you question the leadership at PSA? I mean, honestly, you could answer in the chat and you can be very forthcoming to me. I'm reading the live chat. After that live was over, did you honestly say that the leadership behind PSA was poor? I would be shocked if anybody left that interview and thought that. Again, you go to that Instagram live with CGC, I think almost everyone left with that opinion. Nobody was like, oh my God, thank God these guys are leading the ship. CGC's going into the future, guns blazing. It's like, no. PSA, Nat Turner, man, I got that feeling. The things he talks about, the fact that they've now created a stronger slab, 20% stronger, better UV protection, like listening to people. And I think that's huge. One of the questions I asked him, and I want to see how he's going to answer, and I was like, in 2020, again, Nat Turner and collectors, they acquired PSA in February 2021. February 2021 was the craziest hype, the massive backlog that PSA had. And Nat was very forthcoming with all the numbers. He goes, listen, we had a 10 million card backlog. In order for us to shut down services and no longer accept submissions, he used the words, it was the easiest decision they ever made. And that kind of was shocking to me, but I think he meant it. It was an easy decision because he knew what had to be done. And before he purchased PSA, they were just, accepting hundreds of thousands of cards every day and just letting this backlog continue to grow into potentially perpetuity. And then, like he said, one of the deaths of PSA would be if from now until forever they always had a 1.5 year turnaround time. That is not sustainable. He knew it. He recognized it. And he shut it down. And he's and he's a tech guy. I recommend you guys do a little research on Nat Turner. He's had some other companies. He's in IT. That's his background. And the fact that it seems like they are and one of the things a lot of people ask me is people bring up things like AI grade, and they always say like, what do you think about AI grading? And I'm like, AI grading's okay in some parts, but you always need that human touch. And Nat's answer to that was perfect. And he talked about it like a card guy. Like cards have a feel to it. They have a smell to it. They have a look. Like when you know, I knew exactly what he was talking about when he was describing like you need a human element. Like AI could only go so far, but the fact that he's like 5 years ago it was 100% human grading. Right now maybe it's like 5% of the grading process is AI, and then maybe in 5 years from now it's 10%, 15. I like that answer because I do believe like that is the future. Slow gradual AI introductions. And he talks about using AI tools as simple as just centering and how all their cards go through an AI centering tool. And I think that is great. And he also mentioned that the potential in the future of rolling, and this is all like they haven't made the decision, but rolling out that centering tool into the pop report and into the certification lookup. So when you type in the certification of a card, it's going to pull up and it's going to have a little bit more information for you. And one of those informations is going to be centering. Like an example he gave was like 58, 42 or whatever. So that's great. These are all great things. And I'm I'm very excited for the future of PSA. I wasn't happy with the pack rating answer, but shout out to Dan Keck from All Collectibles. When me and Dan talked about that, Dan pretty much said exactly that. He thought that that was the issue, and that's what they were doing, is that they've always had pack rating standards, which we know they do. If you just type in the Google, you type in PSA pack rating standards, it's like the first link. You can click on it and read the description of how packs are supposed to be graded, and it tells you like the exact flaws that they deduct from and all these things. So we always knew that that was out there, but it just, they weren't really abiding by those standards. But now Nat pretty much just said it's like, no, we're going to be actually using the standards that are written. So I don't love it. Like, I want those easy 10s, but I understand, like, it was at least an honest answer. And he didn't flat out say, like, grading standards has changed. He just used the correct corporate lingo saying, grading standards haven't changed, but we're just abiding by, like, I don't even know how he did it. He's like, this is why he's in the position he's in, because he has the answers to all these questions. I was very impressed by that. But I'm very happy. I'm very happy for the future of PSA, and I still, like I said, I do believe there's other options for grading, like, your Beckett's and your CGCs, but if you're a collector, if you're long term, if you're looking for like future value in cards, future brand identity, future liquidity, PSA is the way to go. The most toxic asset in this hobby currently right now, I'll give you an example, is a Unagaba Pikachu in a Gem Mint 10. Right now it's selling. It's going to sell at a premium. The second PSA cards come out, those prices will go down. The person selling them, great for you. The person buying those Unagaba Pikachus in Gem Mint 10 from CGC their prices are just going to get destroyed. Destroyed. And if you want to continue to grow in this hobby and continue to grow your collection, you cannot be like doing purchases that end up to be future losses. And now, the CGC is a good example of a card that's worth it to grade if you're going to flip it into the market. I feel bad for the buyer. But now, if you are a collector of those cards, collector is perfect. As a collector, you have nothing but time on your side. So send it to PSA. Wait the 3 months, because who cares if you get your cards back faster, because at that point, you're a collector. The only way fast turnarounds work is for the flipper. Fast turnaround times should be meaningless for the collector. Are you sure? I'm sure there's some people out there who will make the argument that they are such die-hard collectors that the thought of not having one of their personal collection pieces in their hands 2 months earlier than they could get it is like a thought that just destroys them internally, and they need to have that collection piece in hand. Sure, If those people really exist, go for it. If like you cannot wait the extra couple months, if it's part of your PC, your personal collection, because personal collections change in the future, you know. So you might have a lot of PC items right now that you're like, okay, I really enjoy these, I'm gonna hold on to them, but your opinions on those personal collection items might shift in a year or 2 years or 3 years or 5 years. And when they shift in these, 5 years, in my opinion, in 5 years from now, is PSA still king? Yes, 100%. Do I believe that there is a potential in the future that PSA even now pulls further away from these other grading card companies? 100% yes. Without a doubt. I think these other grading cards companies are definitely going to have their niches, especially when it comes to like error cards and stuff like this. But let's be honest, error cards are a small subset of this hobby. If I start listing off some error cards too, like there's probably not a lot of people would even know. Like, Gem Mint Pokemon. Shout out to Gem Mint Pokemon. There are two different variations of this card, right? So this is your normal Black Star promo, and then this one is the Koro magazine glossy one. It almost looks like a fake card, like it has like a weird gloss to it. And he talked about like he just picked it up one. He picked up like the 98 version, which has a Ken instead of having Ken Sugimori signature on it, it has the correct signature on it. But like he talks about picking that up in a 9 and how it's like a big collection buy for him. There's only potentially 3,000 of them in the world that exist, and how he's been looking for that for a long time. I just showed there's going to be 1,000 people watch this video. This glossy Coral magazine Japanese in English form card, I bet you out of those 1,000 people, the people that know that there's different variations with Ken Sugimori's signature on it opposed to the signatures that should be on it, the amount of people that know about this card is out of those 1,000 people are going to be drastically low. And so when I say that the, error card market is a small market, I mean it by examples like that. Like, that is, you have to be more into the niches. Now, that is a market, and it's a big market, and it's a valuable market if you're, like really well versed in it and you play around with it. There's a ton of different variations of cards throughout this hobby for error collectors. There's the one-offs, and then you have the mass-produced ones, like the Coral glossy ones, the one with the correct person on it. It's like 3,000 of those cards. That's what Gem Mint said recently. It takes an extra bit of knowledge to get there. But, yeah, there will always be an error, or like a group of that. And I think CGC could probably fill that role pretty nicely. Maybe Beckett could fill that role pretty nicely. But for the overall hobby, for the mass amount of cards, like glossy Coral magazine, like IV Pikachus are probably like a very small subset of the total population of cards that get graded. The mass cards that graded are your set cards, your Crown Zenith cards, or your Evolving Sky, stuff like this. Those are the main cards that are getting graded. So if you have those cards in your collection and you are looking at them for future value and future liquidity, PSA is the way to go, in my opinion. 100%. There can be an argument that maybe some of these cards, there can be plays in black labels. I'm not ready to get on that bandwagon yet, especially when it comes to modern cards, because I do believe while Beckett is it's an untapped market right now for black labels. I think it's untapped just because there's not enough people doing that Beckett play. But if that people ever do realize like how the grade to, or how to submit to Beckett, how to really capture that premium, I think a lot of these modern cards in black labels, populations of them could absolutely explode, which would therefore drive down the prices for a lot of these cards. So if you're buying black labels as a long-term future investing thing, I think there's a lot of danger in cards like those, personally. Now, for the one-off, like super rare vintage cards that, like Charizard first editions or stuff like this, like where there's only 3 Beckett pristines, there's no black labels. When you start to get into these cards and you look at 30 years of a hobby and there's so few of those, like I feel a little safer if you're telling me you're investing in those cards versus if you told me you're investing in some Crown Zenith or some Scarlet and Violet 001 promo because you think that black label is going to have a ton of value in the future, and you're going to do exponentially better on your gains and all this stuff. If you're telling me you're buying those and keeping them for that, I am a little nervous for answers like that. But yeah, it was a good live. Appreciate all you guys tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the chat if you guys enjoyed it. But man, there was a lot to take out of it, and yeah, Nat Turner, big shout out to him for sticking around for an hour. His time is valuable. What do you think his salary is between all these companies? Like, I tried to break down. I was like, how much money did it cost just for him to sit here for an hour? But you know what? He's doing good business, and if we can get him to maybe come to Charlotte Collecticon and do a little bit more like interaction with the Pokemon community, because yeah, like the Nationals in Chicago are at the end of this month, but that's sports. That's not Pokemon. It's a very, very small percentage of that is Pokemon and almost nothing. It's mainly a sports thing. So if we could actually, get Nat to go to Charlotte Collecticon, make him the show face, I think that is a very good thing for him to do. And yeah, man, it was fun though. A lot of everybody that reached out, everybody that commented, told me you enjoyed that live. I appreciate you guys, man. You really put a smile on my face and really encouraged me to want to make more videos and really spend the time and spend the effort to try to grow my channel and grow it the way I want to grow it. I think that's the problem. Is I think a lot of people, they grow their channel in ways that maybe don't make them happy, or ways that they're not always fulfilled. I'm telling you right now, the content I'm making makes me fulfilled. And I hope the content I make you enjoy. And I understand this. My content is not for everybody. There's a lot of people out there, long form discussion type conversation is boring. Listen, there's a group of people out there that interview with Nat Turner people won't like, because they just don't have the attention span for it, because there's not packs being opened on the screen, because people are just conversing. And these people that don't care about that PSA interview could potentially be the same people that are opening up modern product as an investment, or stuff like this, which I hope that's not the case, but I do believe there's people out there who just find this shit boring. So I make content the way I want to watch content. That video I made was the content that I like to consume. And I just got to stay true to me on this channel. And I'm going to throw in like the fun videos once in a while, because I enjoy doing them. Like the superhero video I made. If you guys haven't had a chance to watch that, go back and watch that. I took 31 PokeTubers and then put them into a video and said, if these 31 PokeTubers were superheroes, which superhero would they be? I had a ton of fun making that video. But those videos are going to be few and far between. I got to stick with what I like best. And what I like best isn't going to get me to whatever, like a ton of subscribers, so be it. I keep looking over at the chat right now, and the people that are currently in this chat, I know most of these people, or have interacted with most of these people, whether it's through a live, whether it's through a Discord, whether through its Instagram message, or meeting these people in person. And the fact that we can have like this smaller, tighter knit community is fantastic. And I told you, the thing I'm most bullish about Pokemon in general, it's not the cards, it's not the set, it's not the Pokemon company that lead it in the right direction. The thing I am most bullish about are these names in this chat right now, hands down. Like, you guys are the rock stars, but yeah, you guys are doing good. And I do want to talk about something that isn't about the interview, but something that really like has bothered me a lot. If you guys haven't had a chance to watch Opossum Bud's videos, go watch those. Opossum Bud made videos talking about like the card economist and what happened with him, copyright strike and Rev. And then Opossum Bud just recently made a video talking about Dr. Applesauce, how Dr. Applesauce like went to bat for card economists. Listen, I've been dragged into the drama before. I'm no stranger to any drama. Like I've been there. I've been in the heat of it. I don't like being there, and I've been trying my best to stay away from it. But I'm going to tell you right now, from my personal opinion, what Card Economist is doing and what Dr. Applesauce's viewpoint was on the way he reacted were some of the worst takes and the worst things I've seen people do in this hobby in a very, 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 very long time. Potentially ever. And the video that Opossum Bud made in the last 2 days, I know that they are more drama-y type videos, but they were absolutely fantastic. And this hobby really, 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 really needs people like Opossum, people like Rattle, that hold these people accountable for what they're doing. Because what they did, mainly what Dr. Applesauce did, I don't know why he keeps like doing what he's doing and like kind of tarnishing his own name like that. I don't get. But like what Card Economist did to PokeRev is really sickening. And I'm really upset by that because I just said that I just made a video where I compared 31 PokeTubers to superheroes. And I didn't credit one of those 31 people like in the description of that video. And the fact that like the thought of like one of those people would copyright strike me is such a foreign topic to me because I feel like all those people were portrayed in good lights though, but it's just weird. Like I took a whole clip of PokeRev opening up that legendary collection pack where it was the last pack and the last card he pulled the reverse holo Charizard. The thought of Nick to ever have copyrighted my channel for taking a piece of his content and like using it in that superhero video, the thought of that is such a foreign thought that I can't even like make up a scenario in which that happens. That's how foreign that is. So the fact that I don't like that. And I just wanted to talk about it. During the Nat interview, I saw Card Economist came into my live chat and he super chatted. He sent like a $10 super chat and then he was like engaging with the chat. And I don't listen. Like it's a super chat, but I don't know why he came into that chat. I don't know why he like I don't know if he wanted to like derail the chat or if he just wanted to like pick a fight with the people in the chat because he was public enemy number one and I didn't enjoy that and like whatever. He sent me a super chat, so I don't care. Like I just don't care that he sent me a super chat. Like I don't Card Economist, man, if you're out there watching these videos, like don't do that again. I don't want your money. Like just don't. You're a toxic fucking person in this community, man. Copyright strike and Rev to showcase your card being pulled on the biggest YouTube channel that exists on the entire platform. And then I'll even go this far. Maybe Nick was in the wrong that he didn't put your video in the description. I don't think he needed to, but I will, for the sake of this conversation, I will at least entertain that. Okay, maybe he should have put your name in the description of the video. You emailed him, you requested credit in that video, and Nick manned up and he fucking put the link to your channel in the description of his video. And that wasn't good enough for you. You wanted PokeRev to pull down his entire video, to go edit that video, to add your name into the real time of the video because you felt not enough people would go into the description to see you, and then you need to copyright strike him so then you can take all the income from that video from PokeRev? That is not okay. That is not okay. That is the scum of scum. Don't do that. You're bad. You're bad for this hobby. I don't want you ever to interact if you're watching this video, because now I know you definitely watch my channel because you super chatted during that Nat Turner interview. If you're watching this, please do not interact with my channel ever again. I don't need that in this channel. And I thought about that for the last couple days, like how it really bothered me. And listen, I'm telling you right now, if there's anybody out there that like don't like that take that I have on this, you guys are welcome to unsubscribe to this channel. And don't forget to hit that dislike button on your way out, because I could fucking care less. Like, one of my goals on this channel, and one of the goals for a lot of people in this community, is to grow this community, to make this community a better place to be in, and to make this community like a helping community where everybody is helping each other out. Nick Pokerev has done nothing but help me out. And what I mean by that is, when Nick joins the lives that I have, I promise you, when Nick joins Pokerev, he gains absolutely nothing by joining my lives. When all the people who have ever joined my lives, anybody who are the big like content creators, anybody who ever joined my lives, they don't gain anything from that. They do it because they are good, like well-rounded, good-hearted people. That's why they join these lives, because they enjoy the community aspect. Like, yeah, does Pokerev have to make content for a certain demographic, his viewer type? Yes. A lot of his viewers are kids. If you saw what happened when he went to Card Party, like how many kids walked up to him, like, Nick has to make a certain type of content, and it's catered to a certain type of audience, and that's fine. He's doing it better than anyone has ever done it in this space, and he's absolutely killing it. And then the fact that he will come on a live where like we're drinking and we're having fun and maybe we're swearing and stuff, he has nothing to gain from that. He just does it because he's a good dude. And a lot of the people that have joined these lives, and I'm not going to sit here and say that the growth of this channel does not have a huge like influence from all these people joining my chats and chat. Like, the people that have joined have single-handedly helped my channel grow, and anytime like I have that ability to like help other people out, I always try to like help those people out too, for the same reason that this community needs to be a warm, welcoming, accepting place. And anybody who like brings hardcore decisiveness because like maybe you feel you didn't get enough credit in your video is just gross. So that's my 2 cents. Listen, if you don't know what I'm talking about and you have no clue, go watch Opossum Bud's video. Watch his last 2 videos. They were so well done. You know, like, Opossum Bud has a very good way with words that he's able to like really talk things out. And yeah, there's a little bit of satire that goes on in his videos. We all see that, but like, that satire is very needed, and he brings a very good thing to this space. And it's the same thing like with what Rattle does. You know, a lot of the complaints I hear about Rattle videos is people say Rattle's videos are too long. The reason why Rattle videos are long is because Rattle wants to make sure that his videos are as comprehensive as he possibly could have. And that's why he like will do phone calls with people, and it'll be an hour-long phone call, and he'll be like, all right, guys, at the end of this video, it's an hour-long phone call, because I don't want to cut the conversation. I don't want to edit it so it looks like a certain side was portrayed. Rattle shows you all the facts, or at least he does his damn well hardest to show all the facts. And like, people like those two are very, very needed in this hobby, and especially those people are needed to help grow this hobby and move this hobby into a better place. 100%. So yeah, those are my 2 cents on that topic, because I actually last night around like 7 p.m. I gave Ryan a FaceTime chat, and we were just bullshitting, and I asked him how Card Party was doing. He was getting ready to film a video, but he asked how the baby was doing, because we're friends. Like, we still talk, and we talked about like the whole Nick thing, and I heard a little bit more of the information that like maybe some other people hadn't heard, and like the more information that was presented to me, like, the worse that situation is. And like, I've copied, and even Cool Trainer Ryan, I've copied like his content in a ton of my videos. I literally made an entire parody dressing up as Cool Trainer Ryan, opening up packs, throwing them into a backboard. Like, and that was fun. this hobby needs to be fun. This hobby needs to be warm and welcoming, and there will be dark parts of this hobby. And we see that happen. The more money that enters this hobby and the more that this hobby grows, there will be shady characters that enter this hobby. And those shady characters will eventually get pushed out. But if they don't get pushed out right away, sometimes you need people to like give them a little push. Somebody to open the door for them and somebody to give them a little push out. Because if you have a huge influx of collectors and a small group of those people are just like real shitty, have really poor intentions, and they're very toxic for this hobby, what it does is it just like grows into the rest of the hobby. So all the people that are there for the right reasons, they all get tainted. They all have like real bad experiences. Then all that, good group of people, which could have been like the core group in the future and could have helped grow the hobby and propel the hobby into the future, all those people get such poor taste and they're so jaded on the hobby that they leave and they never come back. So you have a small group of people ruin it for everybody. So just some stuff to think about. But yeah, that's my 2 cents. I want to get it out there. Sorry if I went off. I needed to get that out. I'm not going to like keep bringing this up on lives, but I thought it was important to talk about. Okay, real quick. We got Mr. Pumblechuck. He says he's ready. I appreciate you. #1 mod in the game. Drew, appreciate you. I see a lot of people. Mexican Hipster, Kevin Clear, Tom B, Aaron. Again, son of a Mewtwo. Let's see. Yeah, Thrifty TCG was the one that actually messaged me on Instagram and said, PK, your channel's gone a long way. Thinking about just 3 years ago, you were a meme channel. So Thrifty helps keep me grounded too. Appreciate you, Thrifty. And if you guys aren't familiar with Thrifty, I recommend you checking out her channel too. Especially if you like top 10 artworks of Pokemon. She does a fantastic job. Let's see. So Pikachu said, PK, did you see the 04 Tropical Wind staff that Charlie graded with CGC as a pristine 10? I can't even imagine what that sale price would be. I heard about it, but I haven't seen it. If it's the same card I'm thinking about. I think it was showcased today. Polefather said, I like CGC slabs. They crack nicely. Let's see. So Pork X Shoulder said, sent out my first sub to PSA a week earlier. Listening to your interview made me feel a bit more secure on his decision. Thanks for making it happen. Dude, Pork Shoulder, you are making the right decision. And I'm curious what you sent away. If it was all modern stuff, if it was vintage stuff. Did you throw a Moonbreon in there? Like, what did you throw? Yes, we made it 42 minutes before the name Moonbreon got brought up. Let's see. Gerald Rowland said, when is the next podcast with Rattle and CTR? Probably won't be happening for any time soon. So I know a lot of people like that podcast, but yeah, I talked to Ryan about it yesterday, and I think, listen, I'm not going to say never. I'm not going to say it will never happen again, because I don't believe in the word never really. But I don't know. We just got to figure out some stuff if we're going to bring the podcast back. Cadle says, I would be shocked if you told me he was the CEO of CGC, though. Nat definitely seemed in touch with the community, unlike CGC. Yeah. And if you listen to the way Nat was talking, too, when he was talking about, like, making the better slab, he said, we listen to the community. We listen to people, to, like, and people's complaints and collectors' complaints. So they went with, like, the higher quality slab. The way CGC phrased it was, we had focus groups of people who, and they had focus group of people that were not customers and were not card collectors. What? Like, Nat Turner at least listens to the customer base, where CGC listened to a focus group of people that don't use the service. I don't know, like, a scenario in which that actually works, like, for another business. Like, I don't know. But yeah. Pokefish says, I was very impressed with Nat. He communicated their thought process well, reasonable, rational, and professional. Yeah, definitely. I mean, Nat is a true professional. You don't get into that position without having, an absolute amazing head on your shoulder and being very next level in your decision making process. And I don't know if you guys caught it, but I asked Nat, like, what was it like when you came in there and you have a lot of people kind of set in their ways and stuff? And Nat pretty much said, like, well, sometimes you have to shake things up and you have to replace some people because maybe they're not going to be stewards of the company going into the future, and you just need new thought processes come in. And he even said that about himself. He's like, maybe in 10 years from now I'm not the proper fit for PSA anymore, and then at that point he will know to move on. So what he was more or less alluding at was they probably went in and changed up a lot of the management structure and stuff in order to make it a better company. And it seems like everything Collectors has done in a relatively short amount of time. And I know a lot of people want more. I think we always want more. But from the time Nat Turner took over PSA in February 2021, he got rid of a 10 million card backlog. He dealt with the Ludkin UK issue. He started to image every single card that comes into PSA front and back, which has been fantastic. They've created the vault service. They bought that new warehouse in, I think he said Iowa or Delaware, wherever. They've now started grading cards in Japan as recently as 1 week ago. So you could submit cards through Japan, but they were still shipping them to California to be graded. Now Japan's actually grading their own cards. They have opened up the New Jersey branch, and the New Jersey branch is currently grading cards. They're not at the ability where they're accepting submissions yet. And then now they're going to be doing the UK branch. Like, these are all big milestones that PSA has done since February of 2021. And I know, again, everybody wants all that shit to happen at once, but that's just not the way businesses work. And the fact that they've been able to do what they're doing as fast as they're doing, and they brought back $15 grading for TCG like in 2023, which a lot of people didn't even think that that was possible. They've done a very, very lot in a very, very small window of time in the grand scheme of just like that company as a whole. So the fact that they've been able to do so much in so little time, I can't even imagine 2 years from now from what they're doing, or 5 years from now. There could come a time where Japan's now grading their own cards, California's grading cards, Jersey's grading cards, then eventually a European branch. The European branch is grading cards. Turnaround times should be that much faster. And he talked about it like just by losing all the cards that were coming from Japan into California, like they now gained all those cards they can now grade extra for all of us. And it's just freaking awesome. I'm so happy. I think they definitely have like the future goals. And I don't know if you heard him mention it, but he talked about the vault service, and he goes, right now you could send them to Golden Auctions. So Golden Auctions is one of the companies that Collectors own. So again, Collectors owns PSA, Wada Games, PCGS, Coin Grading, and they also own Golden Auctions. So right now you could send to the vault and you could send to the Golden Auctions. But if you listen very closely to what Nat said, he goes, that's for right now, but they have it in the future to move it to other platforms. And what's another platform that they could potentially move it to? That other platform is eBay. Can you imagine if it comes a time in the near future where you could have your cards graded by PSA, send them instantly to the PSA vault, then sell your cards out of the PSA vault on eBay? If that happens, game changer. Just game changer. I mean, think about the possibilities of that. Every single submission you got, because now you don't have to photograph your cards. You don't have to do any of the legwork. When those cards sell, you don't have to worry about packaging them and shipping them. I mean, talk about that's like hiring a 5-person staff just to work for you. Like all the extra steps that eventually that could remove for you. The thought of that is a fantastic thought. We are very far from that right now, I feel like. But if that does happen in the future, because he did say right now it's only Golden Auctions, but they're looking at other platforms in the future. I'm telling you guys, if you're going to back any horse in this race, PSA is the horse you want to back. They're the future. I just don't understand how you could watch that interview and think that it's not a good decision to grade with PSA right now. Uh, so Tap says no collector likes waiting 3 months for a card to return, but most deal with it. Yeah, and the crazy thing about Nat is Nat's a collector, and he talked about it. He goes, I can't even remember what cards I sent in 3 months. You know, he's like, I think anything over 3 months is too long of a turnaround time, and I agree with him. Like, I think the fact that PSA is very like self-aware that they cannot have turnaround times explode like they did in the past. The fact that he's so self-aware of that is absolutely fantastic. Um, let's see. Oh yeah, so a lot of people are talking about that new Pikachu Worlds promo. Yeah, that Pikachu Worlds promo. I'm bullish on that, man. One, Worlds promo. So obviously it's already hyped. Pikachu artwork already hyped, and then it's got the Charizard in the background. I see it already. The internet's going crazy. That's going to be a super expensive card right at release, but it's a cool card. Uh, yeah, Flip Flap says it's not easy to get Black Label. Some of his friends got burned when they had 90% PSA returns. Yeah. Uh, Catch 'em All Collectible says Nat's. Excuse me. He said Nat Turner's salary probably is only like 10K on paper. On paper, so what does that mean? Like his bonus is hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like that money is going somewhere. His PSA made a lot of money last year. That money's going someplace, and I mean, I can only imagine what those guys are doing. Uh, let's see. Yeah, a lot of people are saying he probably has like a 50K salary on paper and like 1 million in stocks. Yeah, I could see that. So, I appreciate a lot of kind words in the chat right now. I appreciate you guys. Shrug Nasty said the people who didn't like the interview are the same people that grade with CGC. I think that's possible. Fat Belly Collect says I love buying first to market PSA 10s. I do it for the investments. Good luck with that, my friend. If you're looking for first to market PSA 10s, slide into my DMs. I got you covered. Um, how do you say this? Mapother says, love the long form, but I think it might be the younger crowd with a short attention span. Yeah, I mean it's the TikTok generation, it's the YouTube Shorts generation, it's Instagram Shorts. Like, I mean, listen, I'm not gonna lie. Like, there's been times when I've been on my phone and like just swiping through the YouTube Shorts, and then I look down, I'm like, oh my god, 30 minutes or 45 minutes of my life has just disappeared in front of me, and I just consumed a bunch of useless, stuff. Like none of it's valuable. So usually that's like in bed at the night, at night before bed, but still. Yeah, a lot of now people are talking about Opossum. Yeah, Opossum is great, top tier. Yeah, hands down. Opossum's been on this channel 2 or 3 times, I believe. Two, three, two, three, 2 or 3 times. Opossum's been on. Shrug Nasty said Card Economist is alienating himself from the hobby. Yeah, big time. Let's see. Uncle says he wants to hang out and just go to Modern or Pizza sometimes. Yeah, man. Yeah. Speaking of hanging out, man, Charlotte Collecticon. Hopefully, I see a lot of you guys, or a lot of guys and girls at the Collecticon trade nights in the hotel lobby and stuff, because there's a lot of fun. Like I said, I'll say it again. I'm gonna make a video like probably 2 weeks before Charlotte, but I will be doing in-person consignments. So if you guys are, at the Collecticon in Charlotte and you got like, a handful of slabs, say you got 5 slabs and you're thinking about like, oh, I wish I had a table to sell these 5 slabs, feel free to bring them by my table. I'm doing a consignment. It's 10% flat rate consignment with a, minimum of $5. This way it just keeps me from getting like a ton of super bulky like PSA 6 slabs, but I'll be doing that. And I probably won't be able to talk to like a ton of people while I'm behind my table. I'll be able to definitely say hi, but like we won't be able to have like a in-depth conversation just because it's so fast-paced at these collecticons. And when you guys get there, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Like, oh my God, there's a ton of people moving through. There's a lot of stuff going on. But yeah, so at the event, it might be hard to like talk to me. So don't feel like I'm shunning you. Don't take it personally. But yeah, collecticon like trade nights on in the hotel lobby and stuff like this, dude, those things are fun. Feel free to walk up to me. Feel free to walk up to anybody that you know in this community, and everybody's super accepting. That's what we want. We want like super accepting. Everybody is welcoming. That's what we want. We do not want like copy striking people. Uh, let's see. Flip Flop says if PokeRev stops making content, the number of people that leave the hobby will be astronomical. You know, that's a good question. Like, how many? So I guess it's a multi-layer question. Like, how many people has PokeRev brought into the hobby, and how many people is PokeRev keeping in the hobby? Because we're not keeping people in the hobby. Like, these videos aren't keeping people in the hobby. The videos keeping people in the hobby are PokeRev, who's opening up packs day after day after day, and everybody sees PokeRev open packs and they go, I want to keep opening packs. I want to pull that chase card. Or when he highlights cool products, they're like, I want to buy that product. So yeah, you know, the impact that Rev is having on the overall hobby is probably like an insane amount. If I had to like, I bet you it's definitely in the tens of thousands of people that he's probably brought into this hobby and like got them pretty engaged. But I wouldn't go as far to say it's like greater than 100,000 plus people. PokeRev has directly impacted their buying habits or the way they interact with the hobby or their engagement in this hobby. And it could actually, listen, we can start making stretches and we can say it's probably greater than 100,000 actually individual people that PokeRev has directly affected their collecting habits, which is insane to think about. Because if you were to think about 100,000 people, that's like Michigan football, the big house, like that stadium packed full of people. That's 100,000 plus people. And PokeRev, imagine filling that stadium and every single one of those people, their Pokemon purchases were impacted by one person. That's insane. It's insane. Uh, let's see. Ultimate Fetz Hine says Rev is the most wholesome PokeTuber out there, and card guy, whatever, did him so dirty. Wasn't a smart move. Nobody's gonna come to your channel, and that was cool. Besides Dr. Pierpod, who's also like drama. Yeah, yeah. I think he definitely alienated himself, and I don't see like what the end goal is. Both these guys. I don't see the end goal. Like, what is the end goal? Like, what do they want to get out of it? Like, okay, so the card economist gets the copyright strike and he gets some money. Is it a money thing? Is that it? Like, the end goal is a couple $100, maybe $1,000 or whatever that video is gonna make. That's it. That's the end goal. That's his exit plan out of the hobby. You ever seen it's the James Bond movie Tomorrow Never Dies? Is it? Yeah, Tomorrow Never Dies with Pierce Brosnan. It's the last one that has Q. Q is the guy that like made all James Bond's gadgets, like the cool watches that shoot stuff out. But anyways, there's a scene in Tomorrow Never Dies where the guy who's the actor for Q, he was in 17 James Bond movies prior to Tomorrow Never Dies. And it was the last video that he was going to be Q. And then he introduces a new person. But at the end, like, he has a very cool scene where he kind of like just drops into the floor. And Bond's like, do you have any advice for me before you go? And he's like, always have an exit strategy. And then he kind of just lowers into the ground. And that was the end of Q's character on James Bond. Then he ends up dying of cancer like pretty soon after Tomorrow Never Dies is filmed. But it's like, it reminds me of that scene. Like, is that your exit strategy? Is that your exit plan? To just get $1,000 from PokeRev? Like, that was your Q scene. Took you 17 James Bond movies, starting from Sean Connery leading all the way up to Pierce Brosnan. 17 movies leading up to that one scene, and your exit plan is to steal $1,000 from PokeRev, like that's what you've been doing. That was your exit plan. Shitty exit plan. Let's see. So Grown Reality says, I feel like have friends with people who would pull shit like that on me if we had competing channels. I've come to the realization that I need to cut these people off. Yeah, it's good to just cut some people out of your life. The toxic people. Keep the good people in your life. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm any saint. I've definitely had my share of, like, toxic moments in this hobby, but I've done my best to, like, reconcile those when I can. Oh, man, I jumped to the bottom. Let's see. Catch 'em All Collectibles says, Nat knows exactly what the market wants. Yeah, easy 10s. Well, easy is subjective. I'm just going to say that a lot of people say PSA gives out easy 10s. PSA just gives out fair 10s. That's the truth. They give out fair 10s. They give out 10s as their gem mint grade is written. Some people don't like that, but that's the truth. Sometimes their grading can be a little inconsistent. Every single company could be inconsistent. Listen, when PSA messes up, I will still let you know when they mess up. Let's see. Jester Beat says, I love long form content. People are just water brains. Yeah. I love long form content. Like, the content that I like to consume is the content I make. And I think you guys could probably tell too when I like refer to a lot of the other long form content that other people make, because it's interesting. Like, one of the things I've talked about this before. I have the ability at work. I don't have the ability to watch a screen, but I have the ability to put like headphones in my ears and listen to stuff. So the same way people listen to Pandora or Spotify is the same way I listen to YouTube, Pokemon podcasts and stuff like this. Let's see. So Uncle said, kind of a change in subject, but where do you find out about things like world promos, etc.? Uncle, that is a great question. Discords. I don't know where the people in Discords find out about this stuff, but yeah, Discords. The amount of information you will find just being in a couple Discords. The number one Discord I recommend above all others is the Rattle Discord. If you're not in the Rattle Discord, I recommend you hopping into that. And then there's also other good Discords, like the Professor Oak Discord's really good. If you want the paywall Discord, I've never been there, but shout out to Dan Catch 'em All Collectibles. I know those guys have like a paywall Discord, which maybe goes into like a little bit more of like the analytical aspects of stuff. Again, not in that Patreon, but I've heard good things about it. So, well, actually, maybe I haven't heard good things about it. The good things I've heard about it is from Dan Catch 'em All Collectibles, who runs that Discord. So, take that with a grain of salt. Uncle said Charlotte is a lot further away than Modern. Yeah, by time Charlotte comes out. Ooh, when does 151 English release come out? Is 151 going to be out for Charlotte? Release date. 151 in English is September 22nd. Oh, we're just going to miss the 151 release date. Oh, that's too bad. But then again, we're going to be at a lot of people there are going to have distribution. There might be some. See, this is the difference between stolen product and early release product. I don't have a problem with early release product. Early release product just means it was sent through distribution. People that have distribution just got their product in the mail early. Nothing like nefarious happened. Things weren't stolen. People weren't selling stuff on eBay. People weren't saying, well, this stuff is probably stolen, but I'm going to open it anyways. Like, break-in street date is fine with me, but stealing cards is not okay. But yeah, so by September 22nd, we might just there might be some people just breaking street date. But as long as that, again, break-in street date is different as long as that product is obtained legally. And it happens all the time. Hell, even the Pokemon Company to some YouTubers sends them product early and lets them break street date in order to like make videos for that stuff. So Chim Chang says he ain't about to leave the hobby. Laugh my ass off. He makes too much money. Don't be dumb. I think he's talking about whatchamacallit, Card Economist. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. All right. I jumped down to the bottom. I made it an hour. I just wanted to do my reaction to the interview with PSA, just the future of grading. Like I said, overall, my final thoughts are, this is the Jerry Springer final thoughts moment. PSA is the future. If you're going to back one horse in this race, PSA is the one to go with. From a collecting aspect, from an investing aspect, do I think there's plays with other grading card companies? CGC, first to market plays, yes. For those people buying those first to market CGCs, you're going to get absolutely destroyed. But if you're selling those CGC first to markets, you're going to do fine. If you're grading high-end cards with CGC, I don't think you're going to do great. If you're grading some error cards with CGC, I think you're going to do fine. Beckett, if you're going for that black label hunt and you're sending ultra modern, super easily gradable Japanese promos, Chinese promos, high quality English cards, you'll probably do fine with Beckett. But I feel like those are just very small niches. If you're going for overall mass, large collection type stuff, PSA is the way to go. When you're talking about the future, when you're talking about global brand identity, PSA is global brand identity. Doesn't matter if you're in America, Japan, UK, Australia, Asia. That's where you want to be. You want to be with the number one company in the world. And if you do look at your collection as an investment means in the future, in order to realize that investment, you have no other option but to sell it. So if you're looking at it as strictly as an investment, the liquidity is very important in this hobby, because sometimes cards, especially graded cards, can at times be very illiquid. So you want to go with the company that has the most liquidity. And the company that has the most liquidity on the market is hands down, without a doubt, PSA. So for all these reasons, PSA is the way to go. When it comes to absolute leadership, I cannot talk about Beckett's leadership, but come on. I mean, really? Beckett leadership? They didn't have a functioning website for the last decade. Their terrible email system, you don't even know if your cards are received by them most of the time. I'm going to lean towards Beckett's leadership is probably not great. Don't know that for sure. CGC's leadership after that Instagram Live, probably not the best. Having Nat Turner on my channel, listening to the way he answers questions, the way he interacts with the hobby, the way he thinks about the hobby, the way he thinks about grading, the way he thinks about the future of the hobby, hands down, without a doubt, Nat Turner is the captain you want piloting that ship. Hands down, without a doubt. Those are my final thoughts. As always, I appreciate every single one of you guys out there. Do me a favor, hit that like button. I don't have pop-ups, so I can't say click on these things. Shout out to number one mod in the game. As always, I'll catch you guys on the next video.